Hello, and welcome back to the Rich Mind Podcast. And today, let's talk about something that has actually been a thief of me and from me for a very long time. It's something that you might be actually be experiencing as well in your life. And it's something I just wanted to hop on here today and share with you some experiences that I've had with this thief and how I'm trying to overcome them as quickly as I possibly can. So let's dive in. So that thief that I'm mentioning here at the beginning is the thief of attaching meaning to whatever is going on in my surroundings. So what I mean by that is that a lot of times a situation will happen to me or around me, and I will instantly go into my own mind and my own thinking, and I will try to attach a meaning as to why the outcome was a certain way, as to why I didn't or did get a certain outcome. And when I do that, a lot of times I go down rabbit trails that are not necessarily good places to go. It's kept me away from a lot of opportunity. It's kept me from moving forward during times of uncertainty. And that's what I don't want for you moving forward. So, my question for you today is how much meaning do you attach to certain outcomes that are going on in your life? So, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here today. When I was growing up, a lot of times I had such high expectations from my father, meaning he would tell me all the time that we were going to do certain things. He was a car guy. So, what he would do every year is he would buy a car, used car, fix it up, and sell it. So, that was kind of a spring, summer, and then sell it in the fall type of activity that he used to do. And I used to love hanging out with him all the time. He would be in the garage, just messing around. Obviously, this is before the internet or anything like that, right? We didn't even have cable TV back in the day. So, anyways, there's plenty of time. So I would just sit out literally out in the garage with him and watch him and be with him as he was fixing these cars. And a lot of times he would tell me or promise me things, whether or not it was something like a car that I was going to get, or we would talk about a project that we were going to do together, or something like that, something along those lines. And a lot of times he wouldn't follow through with those ideas, with those suggestions. It was even many times as I was getting older, I would even question him. It's like, what about doing XYZ? Or what about the car that you said that we were going to go buy, right? And go fix or whatever. And he would even proclaim that he didn't even remember having those conversations. But the issue and the meaning for this video I want to share with you today with this podcast is that the meaning that I attached to those outcomes were pretty bad for me, meaning it took me down some negative rabbit trails. I began thinking that it was me. I began thinking that it was my fault, that it was the reason why I wasn't getting the things that I thought that were coming to me was because of me. I started to put negative ideas, negative thoughts into my own mind about myself, which then has led me down negative trails of self doubt, just not being able to go out and be willing to achieve really what I wanted to. And that's just a perfect example of something that for me, when I was growing up, that was a big challenge. So as I've gotten older in my life, I catch myself all the time now hearing in my own mind, trying to attach meaning to things that aren't that important, but I still am in the habit of trying to attach meaning to them. And I think I do that as a protection thing for myself. I try to protect my own feelings. As I mentioned the story with my father, it was when I was a young child. I would probably say 10, 11, 12. It was definitely pre-high school. But at that moment, that phase of my life, it was difficult when I was not able to achieve or do the things that I thought were coming when I felt that he was promising me these things. And so then I was attaching meaning towards myself of self-doubt, thinking that it was the negative for me. Another example for myself is even with people in your life. I've had people, friends, right? You'll think that you are particularly friends with certain individuals. I can vividly remember a person that was in my life late high school and into college, and actually really through college, to the point where this gentleman was actually in my wedding. And then also I was in my my kids, my two youngest daughters, and actually my son too. So all three of my kids were actually in his wedding as well. But for some reason, and still to this day, I don't know, and I've tried to work through this, but at one point we were pretty good friends. We were communicating all the time. He was living in a different state, which obviously was a little bit of a challenge. We didn't see of each other as much as we used to. But at one point, we just stopped communicating. Literally, it was like one day we were talking, and then the next we were not. And I'm not placing blame. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just trying to state a fact that when that started to happen, I started to place meaning, or I tried to attach a meaning as to why did that happen? Why? So I try to not have that thought even today, but I will admit that sometimes I still go down that rabbit trail of what happened? Why did that happen? Why did we fall apart as people, as friends? Right? We were relatively close in that time frame, early 20s stage of our life, and now we are not. And I try, as I mentioned, I try not to attach meaning to it. But when I first had those experiences, once again, I was attaching negative meaning to myself, thinking that it was me, thinking that the way I thought, the way I believed, the way I acted was the reason why this person basically uh, just left or didn't return, let's say, into my life. And it was a difficult time there for a little while. It's been several years now, and I've moved beyond it quite a bit. But at the same time, yeah, I still think about it every now and then. And I just you start to question why. Why did this happen? Why did this happen or not happen? And that's the meaning that I try to attach to everything. And as I mentioned, I believe for myself, it's just a defense mechanism that I wanted to bring to your attention today. So, are you struggling with that same idea? Are you struggling with trying to attach meaning to every outcome that's going on in your life, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, whether it's a monetary, a financial situation that you might be in? Anything that is going on in your life in an exterior environment, are you trying to attach a meaning as to why is it happening in a certain way? When you do that, at least from my experience, when you try to attach that meaning, you're making up and you're beginning to make up stories that may or may not be true. So unless you go to the source and find out exactly why they did certain things, you're just really making up a story that, as I mentioned, it may or may not even be true, which is going to then send you potentially down a negative rabbit trail, like it was doing for me and has done for me several times. And because of that, as I mentioned, I used to, and I still am working through this, shy away from getting in associations with other people, right? Trying to make new friends with new people. With that idea of a defense mechanism is that I don't necessarily want to have that feeling ever again, right? When you are disappointed or when you become disappointed, uh, based on the stories that you're telling yourself, it's hard to keep stepping into relationships with different individuals that may or may not be doing the things that you feel like they should, but there's no meaning to it. Everybody has their own life. What I've discovered as I've gotten older is that my father who knows what was going on in his mind. He was having a busy life, just like I'm having a busy life right now, right as you are. We all are experiencing different things at different times. And because we say things or because we don't say things or we don't do the right things that we are perceived right by the other individual, then we attach the meaning and we attach the story. And when we do that, we have the risk of going down some negative rabbit trails, attaching meaning back to yourself, thinking that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not capable enough. And if you do that too many times, that internal dialogue, you hear me talking about on the podcast all the time, that when you need to win within, you need to take control and learn how to understand that internal dialogue in order to have better outside experience in your 3D world. And when you're attaching these negative meanings to yourself, that's going to be very difficult. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I wanted to question, what are you attaching meaning to different outcomes that are going on in your life, whether it's with individuals, whether it's with different circumstances in your life? Just pay attention. That's the whole key. You need to become aware that you're doing that. As I mentioned for myself, I can catch myself even almost in the moment, just trying to attach meaning to certain things that I don't need to do that. There's no need for it. it's not doing me any good. And then it's obviously placing some negative expectations on the other individual as well. It's not serving either one of us. And so I'm trying to do less of it more and more as I get older. And that's what I would encourage you to do as well. So folks, hopefully you found this message valuable. The idea is that just be aware of your thoughts. Be aware of that internal dialogue. Be aware that the meanings that you're trying to attach to an outcome that may or may not be true, or may or may not be exactly accurate with what's going on in the other person's life or the different circumstances that you might be in. And when you're doing that, you're actually putting yourself in a negative standpoint from an internal standpoint for yourself, which could be just really a bad thing. Like I said, it's kept me from different experiences, whether it be having the courage to step into different relationships or different opportunities. And that's what I don't want for you moving forward. So become aware of the meaning you're attaching to different things in your life. And I promise you, just like it's working out better for me, you will do better and have more courage and have the ability to step into the person that you're really meant to be. And that's what I really would like for you moving forward. So go out there, have a fantastic day. Thanks for joining me here today. And I look forward to bringing back the next episode again very soon. Until then, bye now.